I would not have imagined what I'm doing right now because I'm in a state where I was trying to juggle the family, juggle my job, trying to identify myself back, who I am.
Career in Atlassian to your business.
Business.
So, how did you plan or how did you go about starting the business?
So I was there for a long time. It was almost 14 years. I had teams in Europe. I had team in India. My son was in, I think, he was still in a primary school. And I used to feel so guilty when he come home. I am sitting in a meeting room, and I was like, this is not the way I want to live my life.
How did you overcome those challenges?
When you have a child, you basically expect a particular path. He got diagnosed with autism. I thought that this is a problem and I need to fix it. And which I realized very late in my career, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And I need to prepare myself for that.
What does Sanatan Dharma means to you personally?
Every Sunday, I used to be at the temple. And one day my husband also asked me that why do you go there? And I told him that it's just 1 hour of my time where I just sit in quietness, that place to connect and just being around, like just be myself.
Career in Atlassian to your business. So, how did you plan or how did you go about starting the business?
Okay. So maybe at this point, let's go to 2022. It was post COVID and everybody was working from home.
Yeah.
And Atlassian from startup has become a big enterprise company
Yeah.
with employees all over the place. And when you have enjoyed a startup life, a lot of time you don't enjoy the enterprise life. More bureaucracy, more this thing. And plus, at that time also, I was feeling a bit uneasy because my son was in, I think, he was still in the primary school. And I used to feel so guilty when he come home. I am sitting in a meeting room because I was a product manager. I had teams in Europe, I had team in India, and I'm just in the meetings. And I was like, this is not the way I want to live my life. My daughter was going to do her HSC in 2023. And because I was there for a long time, it was almost 14 years, I asked my manager that I want to take a sabbatical. So 2023 was my sabbatical year. And being a number person, yes, in my family, I am the number person. My husband doesn't do anything about finance. And I hope he's listening this because he need to know. Okay. So I started sorting our finances from insurance, fixing our home loan, blah, blah, whatnot.
Wow.
And that is where I was talking to my own mortgage broker. And I was like, look, we were refinancing our investment property. And there was one payslip. So she asked me, what are your plans for next year? I was like, I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure I want to go back to my full time job, but I'm also not sure what I want to do. And also by that time, I have fallen in love with the financial literacy. So I was doing a lot of Instagram. I had account. I was doing some post and here and there. So she asked me, why don't you come and join me? And I was not 100% convinced, but I was like, okay, my daughter is doing HSC. I can't do much. Let me go and do the cert for what was the minimum needed for that profession. So I did my cert 4 in November. I enrolled for Aussie home loans, an initial introduction course. And come February 2024, when I'm supposed to join that, um, I also got a call back from Atlassian that your sabbatical is finished. When are you coming back? And between me and my husband, we discussed, and we knew that where we are sitting financially, we'll be able to manage with one salary for a while. And we discussed that yes, it's worth taking, that risk and going and doing what I want to do, because he knew that I didn't want to go back the full time job. And that is the start of that. I was not unsure, but here I'm after 2.5 years, loving the work I'm doing it and enjoying everything that, that being a business owner is bringing me. Yes.
What a story. I've just enjoyed listening. I was getting goosebumps. I can't even imagine what you've gone through, but it seems like a smooth transition and interest. And apparently, finances is a job where I've heard from a lot of my clients. especially single moms, when they suddenly have to do something that they were never expecting to do, to start a financial literacy campaign for women.
Yep.
But um, most times I hear some of our male clients working and taking a decision, and I ask them, is your partner aligned with your decision? And what I hear is, oh, you know what? I'll ask her, but it's my decision. And just that sometimes take me back a bit. Have you seen this a lot in what you're working or how you're working as well?
A lot time, but I also try to, like, as much as to my capacity, I always try to bring both male and female into the conversation. And I have seen opposite also, where the female is taking the charge more and the male is not. But I try to do, because in my job, for the compliant purposes also, I need to make sure I'm meeting both of them.
Yeah,
But also I make sure I bring out the female into the conversation. I always ask the question, do you understand what that means? So I don't want them to be just signing the deal, but making sure understand, because when you are taking a home loan, you are 50% responsible for that lending.
absolutely. And this is, I think, most couples don't understand. While it is a combined decision, it is a combined responsibility as well. And this is where your thought process and your knowledge comes in, where you're trying to not just smoothen the process, but you're also going with your vision of financial literacy to everyone. Um, what one tip you can add on the professional front, which can be treated as a myth buster in terms of financial literacy?
I understand that, like, especially the first home buyers, when they come to you, they have no idea how the whole thing works. And that is where basically I must say they are my favorite clients, because they just adore you for all the hand handling you're doing for them. They just adore you, because but they have so many questions, I can tell you. I literally have to tell them, okay, what's going to happen? What? Because a lot of people don't understand. And if I look back, I don't remember how much questioning I have done to my own mortgage broker
Yeah,
regarding the products or regarding this thing. But people need to know. Like, a lot of time, I have to tell people, you need a pre approval. Why do you need a pre approval? People don't understand why I need a pre approval, or why the banks want to know X or Y about my finances. And then I think the whole involving the conveyancer into the whole journey, a lot of people don't understand um, that when I have sign a contract, it has 42 days to go, and then suddenly something will happen. Like, whole thing is, it's a very different side, and a lot of people are not prepared for that. A lot of people have done research thanks to social media. Sometimes right, sometimes wrong, but some people have absolutely no idea. And that is where basically I feel very privileged that this is my job, like, on a one-on-one setting, to help them and do that. And in terms of the financial literacy, like, if I think about, like, um, traditionally the way we have grown up in India, like, it has taken me a journey to come to that also, that putting your money, like, I work in property, but I always tell people that in your investment journey, make sure your portfolio is not like all the eggs are in one basket kind of thing,
yeah,
you know? Because if you ask me, my, like, I don't know about your parents, but Ashish, my parents were very much like those traditional people where, okay, the saving is there, it's in a high, like, interest, saving account. They never had an exposure to things like,
yeah,
shares or property came little bit later, but they were very risk aware generation, you know. So a lot of time making people understand, I think the new generation coming up is much smarter.
absolutely.
But especially when you come from, like, for us as a family, like, it has taken us 10 years to start back on our investing journey, coming from India to here. Like,
Absolutely.
yes, we did property investment, but if I think about overall our financial, like, sorry, maybe I'm changing tracks here, but it's like there's a cost to moving from one country to another country. And that too when you are in, middle of your career, middle of your family and everything.
And this was back in 2017. I was here for 4 years. And now, when I tell her, Mama, I've just bought my, last time I said I bought my 11th property and I've sold few. And sometimes I'll say, Mama, I'm doing, this is the biggest, we've just picked up a development, which is $20 million. And I converted into crores. And I said, Mama, it's 100 crore development. And she's always saying, why do you need to do so much? Why are you not happy with what you have? So, a different mindset, you are very spot on there. And we, growing up, were always told you need one house to live in, you need one car, focus on your family, and you maybe need one property outside.
Yep.
So she can't wrap her head around why I don't have a home, but I have these multiple assets just sitting there. But yeah, to your point, look, we were talking around myth busting. So when people come to you, what can they expect behind the scenes?
Lot of compliance, lot of paperwork, which people don't realize. People think I had a chat with you and your loan will be ready tomorrow. No, mate. There's a lot of paperwork we need to do behind the scene because we have our, best interest duty, which is basically Australian government, and which I think is such an important thing for every person to follow because we don't want our client to be in a worse situation. I always think about finding a client and putting them a best situation what I can put from my situation, my whatever I can do from my side. So yes, behind the scene, a lot of paperwork, a lot of rate negotiation and whatnot with banks and etc. But at the end, it's all about giving customer a smooth experience. Yeah.
You know, I did my cert for in finance and mortgage broking back in 2017.
I didn't know about that, so that's good to know.
Yeah. And you know why I didn't want it to become a broker?
No, I didn't know that. Okay.
Because I saw my broker. I was there for 2 hours and he was on call for entire 2 hours with the bank. And I like, I can't take this job anymore. And yeah, it adds a lot of memories and emotions. But look, I believe buying a property is one of the biggest financial and emotional decision which you help people navigate through.
Yep.
So, what is your vision in business that keeps you going, supporting so many people around you?
I think the biggest vision is that for me, I was very clear from the start that it's not about the volume, it's about giving the best experience possible. So
Amazing.
I never take more than what I can handle in my plate because I also want to be a present mom.
Yeah.
And this job also allows me, like a lot of time, my calls happens after hours. So that gives me a time to, take some time off in the afternoon time and then, work after hours so that my husband can take over. But it's always all about putting the clients first. I have like, some really amazing stories where I have done home loans on top of the Mount Kosciuszko mountain also.
Wow.
Yes, I have done a customer VOI behind, I think in Launceston or wherever we were there, Cradle Mountain.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've done those kind of things also. So the job never leaves you.
Yeah.
But as I was saying that the amount of love, especially you get from the first home, sub first home buyers are, it's amazing. At this stage, like I believe in seasons of life.
Yeah.
So where I am right now in my season of life, I feel like that I want to, yes, grow this business, but I also want to make sure that I'm bringing the whole thing into the business. Like, um, after working for Atlassian for so long, one of the values I have taken is always like whatever earning, around 10 to 20% has to go back to society.
Amazing.
So this is one from the first day. I was able to do it, and I'm happy about that. Yeah.
When I was there in your seat, so my mom used to say you have to donate whatever you earn, 1/10 of that. So again, I don't think I'm where I should, where I have to be, maybe, but I still try. But well done on you for achieving that 1/10. aspect, because most people think they don't have enough. But as one of my mentors said once, in order to be able to give someone, you don't need to be in any position. You just have to start giving. It seems like there's a lot of discipline behind what you're doing. And I'm very sure there's a lot of support from family as well as with any other business owner.
Yes.
So tell us about your family, and the values you're preaching within the family.
So my family is there are four of us, and I have a daughter. She's just turned 20. She's in uni, so very fortunate for her where she is. And then I have a son who is 14. Yeah, the series 14. He's in high school, year 8. And my husband. So yeah, I think definitely I have a lot of support from like my family from the time I started my business. Like they all have come and put stalls with me all
Yeah, I've seen that.
places, and you know, they have supported me, my daughter, because whenever I put a stall, I always run a quiz for financial literacy and all,
Yeah,
and she's so good. I sometimes laugh at my husband that I have taught too much financial literacy to her because she's become such a stingy person now. Like she doesn't buy anything, and I have to keep buy this. No, I don't want to buy,
yeah.
and I feel like sometimes it's on me. I've taught her some wrong things. Um, but yeah, on the other hand, I have a boy who doesn't care about money, so that's like I have full balance going in family right now.
I think children don't always listen to what we say, but they absorb what
Yes.
we live. So my elder one's very similar,
Yeah.
but I strongly believe with earning, there's definitely two things that one needs to incorporate. One is giving back, and second is spending. Because without spending, there's like, what will you do? Many people, as they
Exactly.
say, you won't take it with you when
Exactly.
you leave.
That's so true.
So, which is amazing. It seems like your daughter's getting some good values. I don't think it's wrong things. I think she's learned to be more conservative
Yeah.
with her approach, which is a very good quality to have. Tell us more. Like, what values would you like to pass to your kids?
Look, I definitely want them to retain their Indian culture. I definitely want them to not forget their roots. And because my daughter, she came here when she was 2.5 years old. My son is born here. So, and my son, my daughter speak very fluent in Hindi. But if I talk about my son, because he was developmentally delayed, we never focus on him teaching two language at one time. So he's an English speak, he only speaks English. But from last 2 years, he has been going and visiting India on a regular basis
Yeah.
because my mom is not well. So we have been trying to go multiple times. And now he's feeling it that we are also like encouraging, like maybe you need to learn Hindi. So yeah, definitely I want them to keep their Indian root. Yes, Australia has given them, and Australia will be their home, but retaining those Indian values, and plus always have that feeling of gratitude. Like this is one thing what I have started practicing from last 5 years. I'm very, very conscious about because there are so much to complain in our world. But if I look at because there was a phase in my life where I was not in a good place, you know, and I have to change things around. And this is where the gratitude practice and a little bit I have still not become I still can't do meditation properly. I must say that. But I and that is where I think the running has started helping me.
Amazing.
Yeah, because I'm more a person who can go for a run, but I can't sit still for 10
Yeah,
minutes.
join the club.
I know. So this is where I think I'm kind of finding my place, and I'm
Yeah.
also encouraging kids to find their place.
And that's the point, right? The values are always stronger when they're experienced, not when they're enforced. Um, so your daughter's learning financial literacy from you and preaching in what she's doing and practicing. Your kids joining with you on running. The running is helping you clearing your mind and thoughts, which is amazing. It's been very similar to, and I've been thinking of putting a post eventually on why running helps you to scale to next level, because I'm sure as a runner you would realize once you start, the second you'll find yourself pushing a little bit harder, a little bit harder.
Yep.
So it doesn't just clears your thoughts, but it also gives you that zeal, that push, that motivation to do something, to achieve something. And it's always good to have a side thing that helps you achieve more, be it family, be it sports, and that helps you scale up the business as well. Have you experienced this relation between business, personal life, and family at all? And if yes, how?
As I was telling you that 5 years ago, if you like, I would not have imagined what I'm doing right now because I'm in a state where I was trying to juggle my job, juggle the family, and also trying to make something out of myself that, who I am after, giving birth to two kids, settling in a new country, who I am, like who is Veenu, trying to identify myself back. And that is where I remember. And what all changed was that because my son had some development issues, so we were like his childhood was very exhausting for us, you know. And as we were going through that, and my daughter was moving from her primary to secondary, I got diagnosed with high blood pressure, and that was the point where I was like, this has to stop. I need to change few things in my life. This is not sustainable. I'm just burning myself. And that is where the whole change happened. I started putting myself because that is where I like the more you learn, that you can't pour from an empty kettle or empty
Absolutely.
cup. And
Absolutely.
that is where I started realizing, that what are my cups like, what me
What
fills me
fulfills my life?
exactly. And that is why, like, I have been always a social person, you know, I was always a more outgoing person. And so having this business, having the running community, having all these things, that just fills my cup. Once your cup is full, you go back and give much better way to your customers, to your family, to yourself. And that is why I'm finding it so that it's giving me like so much to give back.
Yeah.
And that is what you're saying that yes, there is a correlation. Once you have got your side, like, because I'm much fitter now. Like if I think about 5 years ago, then now I'm much, much better physically. So
Yeah.
once you feel better, you're going to perform better also.
Yeah. The physical being gives you that mental clarity and peace as
Exactly.
well. So amazing. You did talk about the challenges that you've been facing from family, especially with the birth of your younger one. Um, just without diving into too much detail,
Mhm.
um, what challenges that brought to your life, and how did you overcome those challenges, or what was your plan to overcome those challenges?
When you have a child, you basically expect a particular pathway, you know. So our first was a girl, and she was a very like kind soul. She never troubled us like anything. So when we were thinking about second one, we always thought about the same trajectory we'll follow. And for first 18 months, everything was fine. And then I think we started getting few signs that there's something, the way he was developmentally going is not maybe the regular trajectory. And that is where the whole pediatrician, a lot of medical professional got involved. And I think he got diagnosed with autism. And I think when he was maybe 2 year old, and he was not verbal at that time. So it was, and being me, being me, and I didn't know anything about at this time being what is autism, what is autistic, like spectrum and everything. So definitely, I need to reskill myself and think about how I'm going to take it. And I think the worst thing what I have done, and actually nobody could have told me at that time. I thought that this is a problem and I need to fix it. It was always in my mind like a binary thing, that how this happened with us, or is there something? Because I think it has taken me a couple of years to get over that, first of all, that guilt. that is there something I did or something happened, that how he, like, how this happened, because you look at family, you look at this thing, you look at
You
thing,
start to
question
blame
everything.
yourself or someone, but yes,
Exactly.
question everything.
Exactly. And so at that time, um it was in my head, okay, okay, I need to fix it. I was like in that mentality. And what that means is that you go into, we got recommended intensive therapy at that time. He was 2-year-old, a 2-year-old going through. So he was literally doing 30 hours of therapy every week. Like somebody used to come our home, It was more a play-based thing, but yeah, it was not a normal childhood for him. It was not a normal childhood for us.
And it's exhausting
It was very
both.
exhausting. It was too much. And then it has taken me, I think, when my daughter was almost ready to start high school, that it's a journey.
Yeah.
It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And I need to prepare myself for that. Otherwise, I'm just going to burn myself out. So that was the interesting bit. And like, touch wood, we are very fortunate where he is right now. He's one chatty person right now. He's definitely always going to have his own, that quirks and stuff like that. But we are very fortunate where we are. And yeah,
And it seems like you're very solution oriented person trying to find answers by yourself. And apparently you have succeeded um, in life, at least from kids' perspective. And I'm very sure your clients are getting very similar value from you as well. So seems like you don't give up
oh no,
easily.
no, I don't give up. I don't give up. Like, we are very fortunate. Like, my like is if I just mentioned about my son, when he started his journey, schooling journey, we have been like, we have taken that decision. I don't blame anybody else. We started him in a support unit. So if people don't know, it's basically within the mainstream school. There's a small class with small number of kids. Within 2 years, we knew that this setting is not good for him. He's in a mainstream. I always make sure that he gets the support what he need. But I always, like, from that point of view, I was like, no, I believe in inclusive life for
Yeah.
him. And that is what I want him to grow up.
Again, we talk about Sanatan Dharma, and it's like what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to, and what are our values and how we incorporate in the community and people, clients, and family around us. So, what does Sanatan Dharma means to you personally?
I am not a religious person to nth detail,
Yeah,
but I'm a very spiritual person.
yeah.
I know that there is something there which connects me. And I remember when I initially get associated with Sanatan Dharam temple, that was very early in my career. I think it was April of 2023 when I did first thing with Deepak in 2000, in Ride. After that, at that time, we used to just have temple on Sundays only. And I remember that every Sunday, I used to be at the temple. And one day my husband also asked me that, why do you go there? Like, because Sunday night is always a bit busy in the house. Like, you're preparing for next day. And I told him that it's just 1 hour of my time where I just sit in quietness, that gives me like that filling cup thing,
Yeah,
it just gives you that. As I told you, I'm so bad with meditation, but it just gives me that place to connect
yeah.
and just being around, like just be myself,
Like calm and peace.
calm and peace. Because the way my genetics are, my kids will never understand that. They will never understand. Their understanding of Indian culture will be very different than what I have been. Like, it will be mine.
There are times when we are related like this, we feel very grounded, and that brings that sense of calm and peace to us
Exactly.
um, momentarily, which then gives us enough energy to then scale to the next level or to that next time frame, or
Yeah,
at least a week if it gives us that push for the week, and then we come back and just refill our cup, as you've said.
exactly.
What role has spirituality played in going through that pressure that you felt during the initial days or during the challenges that you faced from a family perspective or even from work? And I'm sure there are ample challenges that you feel during the work as well. So, how does spirituality help you in overcoming all these challenges?
I think it just keeps you grounded because there is so much chaos going on. And I'm very sure, Ashish, you must have felt because you're also in the property market. We have deadlines, we have customer calling you, when this everything is going wrong. So you need to remain, you can't lose your calmness, in people's world. We work with people,
Yeah,
you know, and we work with a lot of banks, a lot of other things. Um, so I think the spirituality for me just keep me grounded.
amazing.
Just give me like that space to operate in. Yeah.
And that's a good reminder for the clients and families we work with as well. In other words, just worry about things that we can control and let the things go which are not in our control.
Exactly.
Because people try to be in control of everything that they would experience, and that doesn't go well at times. Settlements, not
Not
settlements, rates,
settlements.
not rates, what changed, what not changed, and just can't tell you. Property buying sometimes is not property buying. It's, as you've said, hand holding and making sure that the decisions are taken at the right time. Um, and looking in the hindsight, anyone who has taken that decision is very lucky, and those who have not are mostly struggling. But it is at the end just that decision making facilitation that you're doing.
Yep.
Amazing. Now, coming to, like, we've talked about dharma and then seva, you mentioned that you donate 10% of the earnings, which is the swant, as they call it. What does seva means to you personally?
At the start of my career, I remember we used to have Atlassian 5 foundation days that we can go and work. So it was more about giving time back,
Yeah,
you know. As I started my own business, for me, it was like, what can I go back and like give back? And definitely Sanatan temple came very early into the thing. And for me, it was just not supporting the temple, it was supporting the community, especially the people who are coming from India and finding their feet in this new country. It's like I remember initially, like Ataman temple is definitely, much bigger thing. But when we were in the ride, I used to meet people who have just landed in Australia, and they were kind of trying to find you know, their community
yeah,
where they can go and ask questions,
yeah.
or they can just get the confirmation that what they are thinking or what they are, you know, doing is the right thing or whatnot. So I think the temple has given them a place to come together, find the like-minded people. So for at that time, I was like, okay, supporting something like this is such a good way of, giving from the business. Second thing, I think it was last year on my birthday when I decided that I'm going to start supporting. We have a very good charity in Hornsby, Kurangai across. It's called Hornsby Kurangai Women's Shelter. They look after or they support the women who are going through domestic violence and coming out of that. So it's a very good charity, and that is like where basically I was like, okay, um, like I don't know, I have a tradition of starting a new donation every time. And I was like, okay, I'm trying to do that on my birthday. But anyway, so I was like, yeah, this is one of the charities I would like to support.
Yeah.
So I think at this time, other than like giving here and there, these are the two things I regularly support. And
Amazing. And look, I acknowledge the fact that I was introduced to the community through you. Um, and I'm really grateful for that. Um, so I'm here today because of you. And look, Seva just doesn't mean giving back in terms of the earnings, it's
yes,
also giving back support, your time with honesty and the right advice, which you've been doing for a lot of your clients as well.
Yeah.
What part of Seva would you like to, or how would you incorporate Seva within your family values as well? Because you said you supporting the shelter now. You go for runs, and I see your posts when you're running as well. I think you also did some run for charity as well.
Yes.
So how are you looking to incorporate the seva aspect of Sanatan Dharma into activities of your life, or bringing, like you said, you got your kids to run on Mother's Day. So
Yes,
that's a
yes.
good point. Dragging the kids, it's Mother's Day. You do what I'm asking you to
Yes.
do.
No, look, I am trying to drag as much as my family into all this thing. So for my
Yeah,
birthday, like on we were in Nelson Bay this year,
amazing.
and it was a park run. It was on Saturday, so I made my husband, my daughter, myself. My son was excused anyway. We did 5K on that day. I was like, yes,
Very
this
nice.
is what I want for my birthday. I don't want any gift, anything like that. And they acknowledged. So I'm really fortunate that way. So yeah, I think I'm trying to teach the kids also the giving back thing. Like especially, I think my daughter understand this. This is like if she's an adult. It's with my son. We are trying to, I think, show him um, that how we need to be grateful of what we have, and we also need to give back where is possible. So I'm hoping that he will join me as like I try to do few things around my local area, which I've
Mm.
been doing for the local, try to do few things with the local schools where I try to support their fundraising. So Pimble Fund Run has been a big one last year.
Yes, Pimble Fun Run is
Saint Run
right,
was,
right.
yeah. So my son has attended Pimble Public School. I had so much gratitude for them for supporting him through his primary school. So when last year they started their first, the PNC started the Pimble Fun Run. That was the first year they were doing. I was like, yes, I'll be there to support you. So we did that, and the whole family got involved. So my incentive was that. And then I think for my son's current school, St. Ives, we did a food and wine festival, supported them. So that is what I'm trying to do with my business, trying to, because I'm really passionate about financial literacy and also how I can support the schools, because public school don't get a lot of funding.
Yeah,
So whatever we can do, and definitely I must say, Aussie Home Loan is like, they are also co-funding. They co-fund half of my stuff. So which is a win-win situation for me.
yeah.
So yeah, so I'm hoping that through this lens, the kids will also eventually, see the bigger picture of the world. That is not just about, um, it's just not about me kind of thing.
Yes.
It's,
And
yeah.
as they say, the community is built by people who consistently show up. So, what you're also showing them is the power of persistence
Yeah.
and not giving up. As a woman, by balancing motherhood, family, business, to all moms out there, um, and I adore and respect the effort that my wife puts in.
Yep.
I always mention my wife. That's the least thing I can do.
Do
So
to our ears.
yes, so that gives me brownie points.
Yes.
But from your perspective, balancing motherhood, and I can't imagine going through when you got the news of you know certain challenges that the kids go through, and you didn't give up. You wanted them to. You wanted to find a solution. You wanted them to the community to acknowledge and they mingle with as normal kids,
Yep.
which you've done really well. But balancing all that motherhood, what has been your biggest challenges and how have you overcome those challenges?
I must say, like it was not easy. I must say that, and especially when we look at or compare our lives back, we come from a very supported model. Back in India to here, you know, um, in Australia we don't have a luxury of having a house help or anything, and plus when you are so what I always say is that I think, and which I realized very late in my career, is that my mother was not a working woman. She was a housewife, but she was a she's a very strong woman, and she made sure her all the three daughters got the best education, got married on her terms and stuff like that. But what that generation was not able to taught the new generation, which is working generation, is how to balance your motherhood and the working life and yourself, because they were never working, they never had the challenges what we are seeing. So when I still remember the day when my son got diagnosed, I was on trajectory to grow up in my career at Atlassian. It has literally taken me couple of years to realize no, my trajectory has changed because I was a very ambitious person.
Yeah.
And at that time, it's taken me a while to realize that it's not going to, that is trajectory is not like my trajectory is not same as before. I think it's a staircase of awareness or something like that. There is one state where I think you are so much into that dense place that you're not able to understand what exactly is going on. But once you actually are aware what is your real situation, what are the options you have, because it is, as I was saying, it has taken me couple of years to understand what is practically humanly possible rather than what ideally what I wanted in my life. Then when you create your pathways, then you realize that yes, let's map out the life.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, yes, my career is very important. My ambitions are very good, but at the end of the day, what is important for me? It's my health. I know that um, for women, surprisingly, when you have given birth to your first or second child, that is where basically you are at your that point of your career, whether it's basically going to hit up. But also, somewhere you have to remind yourself this is the initial years you have with the child. Like, I can do anything to get my 5-year-old girl back, but she's not there. Like, when she was a teenager, what I got was a moody person.
Yeah.
So, a lot of time we mother, or at that time, because you don't have any template to follow, you forget that this time is very limited.
You're learning on the job.
Exactly. And that is where basically when I prioritize, like when I changed the trajectory in 2023, was all about this boy need me now.
Yeah.
Once he become an adult, once he is independent, I can take my career and go anywhere I want. But if I don't give him the good ground up now, because I don't want to be around him
Yeah.
when he is an adult. I
Absolutely.
want him to have his life and I want my life back.
Amazing.
So that is my message to every woman. Like, yes, don't give up, but enjoy your kids when they were little. Yes, your career will come back.
And there's so much strength behind motherhood. Sometimes the strongest people are not the loudest. And I'm listening to a book, um, or I've just finished the book. It's called Scaling Up. And there's two types of business leaders. One is a visionary, and one is an integrator. So apparently, visionaries are the people who'll see a vision. They're very optimistic. They won't worry about how things can be done, but what we will do to achieve. It seems like you've come from visionary to an integrator, where then you had to become very practical as to what was possible,
Yep.
keeping those dreams aside and what needed priority at that moment.
Yes.
And you've actually stepped down, as we were talking about being grounded.
Yep.
So you came, or you stepped down from where you wanted to go and see what needed that support at that moment, and you took that break and you focused on where the focus was needed at that point.
Yep.
um and the results are pretty good at this point, we can say.
Yes, exactly. Now, look, when I started in 2024, I was so uncertain.
Yeah.
But today, when you ask me, I was like, no, that was the best decision I've taken. And yeah, like I'm so happy where I am. I work on, like, not always on my terms, what I mean, but I'm so happy that I'm able to make a real difference in people's life. And that is basically, that is much, much bigger than, um, being a small cog in, a company.
Amazing. And I think you're continuing to add that difference to others' life. So, look, being or gone what you've gone through, what message would you pass on to mothers out there who want to balance the family commitments, but at the same time grow in their business as well?
Look, I think it's first of all a strong partnership at home. Like I must say that here. Yes, my husband doesn't do numbers well, but he is a very good cook. He helps me 50% with everything. You know, whether it's cooking, whether it's cleaning, or everything. So yeah, so definitely a strong partnership at home definitely helps. Plus, the second thing is that you like there was something I heard about that you can have everything, but not maybe at the same time.
Yeah.
Yes, you can have a good career, you can have your kids, you can have everything, but maybe not at the same time. And that's okay. Sometimes we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. Yes, I totally agree that if you're coming to a new country and trying to set up, there's so many challenges, but also don't forget to appreciate what you have.
And I think gratitude seems like one of the values you really adore.
Yeah.
And apparently, we come back to the same conversations, which again, at least I'm taking out that gratitude is something that's really important. And in Punjabi, it's called shukrana. So
Shukrana. Yes.
I've really cherished and enjoyed the conversation we've had. But help the audience understand what values have kept you grounded so far.
You need to definitely make sure that you have some of your own values which you don't compromise. Like if I'm a person who value honesty or integrity in a relationship, whether it's about because in my work, I definitely meet a lot of business people,
Yeah,
as fellow business people. You want to work with people on different arrangements, but you also need to make sure their values and your values match.
absolutely.
It will not be like, you are very committed or you are, and it's not just about that, it's about customers also. Sometime in my job, like if suppose I have to be like, I always take on me that if I have taken a customer, communication has to be a key thing because I don't want the customer to feel like that, I've just gone out of a thing or not. But if you see that you are giving something and you're not getting back in that format, then maybe that is not the place that is going to go for a long time.
Yeah,
Similarly, in terms of in terms of the values, you have to be very clear that if you are working in association with any businesses, your values has to match,
yeah,
whether it's in terms of how you are going to look after each other
yeah.
versus um, whatever, whether it's honesty or integrity and or anything else like yeah, sorry, I may
Yes,
not.
yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So while you're giving to clients, while honesty, gratitude, integrity is are some of your values, you would expect the same values out of the people you're working with as well. Because once the value chain and system matches, and that's where the vision aligns and you're going along really well. Otherwise, it would add conflicts over a period of time.
Exactly.
And that's one advice I got very early in starting the business. So, whoever I'm working with, I'll even align clients with those values. If someone wants to skip certain part of the process or chain, just go around the process, I'll generally say that maybe I'm not the right person to work with you. And that's where when you know when to work with someone and when not.
We're not to work
So
with someone. That's so true.
amazing. And look, what stands out are the values that maybe not just always spoken, but also lived through your life, family, commitments, clients, dealings, and business. Um, I've again really enjoyed the conversation. It's been a pleasure um, to have you on board, knowing about your journey, your commitments, your life, your challenges, the way you've grown the business. You've talked about relationships at home, for someone out there who want to scale up the business. And I've gone through that myself. So one time or at one point, I was so driven into the business that I was missing out on relationships. And that's when someone said, one of my mentor, Tony Robbins, said, how many business books you've read? He was asking the audience and says 15 in a year. And I said, yes, 15 in a year. And there were people reading 20, 25. I said, how many relationships book you've read? And there were just 5% people raising their hands. And that's when I realized the relationships fuel the fire and desire inside.
Yep.
And once the relationships at home are intact, your kids are happy, you can scale new heights. So with that advice, I fully align myself with. And I think some of your learnings and what you've given as advice are immense, and they've got a lot of weight, and they're very aligned to most people that work in the business and otherwise personal front. Now, again, your values around gratitude, I've really loved, and I'll take that learning on board. Just have more gratitude and be happy with what has been given to you. But look, thank you so much for being here. From my end, the closing comments, I've enjoyed the conversation with you. And I mean, who doesn't want to do business with Veenu after listening to all of this? So, yeah, thank you so much, Veenu. You've been here, you've taken your time. We'll enjoy our lunch after this. And are there any closing comments from your end, Veenu?
No, I really enjoyed, and this is my first podcast. I should say that, and I really, really enjoyed this conversation. As I think I was talking to you before, that I have never openly spoken about my son a lot, and but I also want to. I really wanted to talk about that because I really want this conversation to be a general conversation. You know, like we don't talk about like we all talk about like mental health is a very good thing we are talking very openly about. Money is still a taboo thing we need to talk about. But a lot of time when we are going through some struggle, we try to keep it to ourselves. If we look at social media, it's all full of happy pictures.
Yes.
But there are other part of our life is also there. And that is what we need to. And that is where I think having those values
Yeah.
and having your right community around you is so helpful. Now, thank you for inviting me to this conversation. I really enjoyed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for listening to us. And just stay tuned on the Sanatan Dharma Sayogi podcast to have more guests like Venuji and listening to their stories and who they are behind the scenes and behind their professional roles as well. Appreciate you listening to us. Thank you.
Thank you.